Macbeth, No Fear Shakespeare, Macbeth by Spark Notes. Modern text. Thunder and lightning, three witches enter. First witch, when should the three of us meet again? Will it be in thunder, lightning, or rain? Second witch, we will meet when the noise of the battle is over, when one side has won and the other side has lost. Third witch, that will happen before sunset. First witch, where should we meet? Second witch, let's do it in open field. Third witch, we'll meet Macbeth there. The witches hear the calls of their spirit friends or familiars, which look like animals. One is a cat and one is a toad. First witch calling to her cat, I'm coming, Grey Malkin. Second witch, my toad paddock calls me. Third witch to her spirit, I'll be right here. All. Fear is foul and foul is fear. Let's fly away through the fog and fill the air. They exit. Sounds of a trumpet and soldiers fighting off stage. King Duncan enters with his sons Malcolm and Donald Bean, Lennox, and a number of attendants. They meet a wounded and bloody captain. Duncan, who is this bloody man? Judging from his appearance, I bet he can tell us the latest news about the revolt. Malcolm, there is the brave sergeant who fought to keep me from being captured. Hail, brave friend, tell the king what was happening in the battle when you left it, Captain. For a while you couldn't tell who would win. The armies were like two exhausted swimmers clinging to each other and struggling in the water, unable to move. The villainous rebel MacDonald was supported by foot soldiers and horsemen from Ireland and the Habrages, and the Lady Luck was with him, smiling cruelly at his enemies as if she were his whore. But Luck and MacDonald together were strong enough. Brave Macbeth, laughing at Luck, chopped his way through to MacDonald, who didn't even have time to say goodbye or shake hands before Macbeth split him open from his navel to his jawbone and struck his head on our castle walls. Duncan, my brave relative, what a worthy man, Captain. But in the same way that violent storms always come just as spring appears, our success against MacDonald created new problems for us. Listen to this, King. As soon as we sent those Irish soldiers running for cover, the Norwegian king saw his chance to attack us with fresh troops and shiny weapons. Duncan, didn't this frighten our captains, Macbeth and Banquo? Captain, the new challenge scared them about as much as sparrows frighten eagles or rabbits frighten a lion. To tell you the truth, they fought the new enemy with twice as much force as before. They were like cannons loaded with double ammunition. Maybe they wanted to take a bath in their enemy's blood or make that battlefield as infamous as Golgotha, where Christ was crucified. I don't know, but I feel weak. My wounds must be tended to. Duncan, your words like your wounds bring you honor. Take him to the surgeons. The captain exits, helped by attendants. Ross and Angus enter. Who is this? Malcolm, the worthy Thane of Ross. Lennox, his eyes seem frantic. He looks like someone with a strange tale to tell. Ross, God save the king. Duncan, where have you come from, worthy Thane? Ross, a great king, I have come from Fife, where the Norwegian flag flies, mocking our country and frightening our people, leading an enormous army and assisted by a disloyal traitor. The Thane of Cawdor, the king of Norway, began a bloody battle, but outfitted in his battle-weathered armor, Macbeth met the Norwegian attacks shot for shot as if he were the goddess of war's husband. Finally, he broke the enemy spirit and we were victorious. Duncan, great happiness. Ross, so now Swino, the Norwegian king, wants a treaty. We told him we wouldn't even let him bury his men until he retreated to St. Colm's Inch and paid us $10,000. Duncan, the Thane of Cawdor will never again betray me. Go announce that he will be executed and tell Macbeth that Cawdor's titles will be given to him. Ross, I'll get it done right away. Duncan, the Thane of Cawdor has lost what the noble Macbeth has won. They all exit. The thunder, the three witches enter. First witch, where have you been, sister? Second witch, killing pigs. Third witch, and you, sister? First witch, a sailor's wife, had chestnuts in her lap and munched away at them. "Give me one," I said. "Get away from me, witch," the fat woman cried. "Her husband has sailed off to Aleppo as master of a ship called the Tiger. I'll sail there in a kitchen strainer, turn myself into a tailless rat and do things to him." Second witch, "I'll give you some wind to sail there." First witch, "How nice of you." Third witch, "And I will give you some more." First witch, "I already have control of all the other winds along with the ports from which they blow and every direction on the sailor's compass in which they can go. I'll drain the life out of him. He won't catch a wink of sleep either at night or during the day. He will live as a cursed man for 81 weeks. He will waste away in agony. Although I can't make his ship disappear, I can still make his journey miserable. Look what I have here." Second witch, show me." First witch, here I have the thumb of a pilot who was drowned while trying. Here I have the thumb of a pilot who was drowned while trying to return home. A drum sounds off stage. Third witch, a drum. Macbeth has come. All dancing together in a circle, we weird sisters, hand in hand, swift travelers over the sea and land, dance around and around like so, 3 times to yours and 3 times to mine and 3 times again to add up to 9. Enough, the charm is ready. Macbeth and Banquo enter. Macbeth to Banquo, "I have never seen a day that was so good and bad at the same time." Banquo, "How far is it supposed to be to Forest?" He sees the witches. "What are these creatures? They are so withered looking and crazily dressed. They don't look like they belong on this planet, but I see them standing here on Earth." To the witches, "Are you alive? Can you answer questions? You seem to understand me because each of you has put a gruesome finger to her skinny lips. You look like women, but your beards keep me from believing that you really are." Macbeth, "Speak if you can. What kind of creatures are you?" First witch, "All hail Macbeth, hail to you, Thane of Glamis." Second witch, "All hail Macbeth, hail to you, Thane of Cawdor." Third witch, "All hail Macbeth, the future king." Banquo, "My dear Macbeth, why do you look so startled and afraid of these nice things they are saying?" To the witches, "Tell me honestly, are you illusions or are you really what you seem to be? You have greeted my noble friend with honors and talk of a future so glorious that you have made him speechless, but you don't say anything to me. If you can see the future and say how things will turn out, tell me. I don't want your favors and I'm not afraid of your hatred." First witch, "Hail." Second witch, "Hail." Third witch, "Hail." First witch, "You are lesser than Macbeth but also greater." Second witch, "You are not as happy as Macbeth, yet much happier." Third witch, "Your descendants will be kings even though you will not be one." So all hail Macbeth and Banquo. First witch, "Banquo and Macbeth all hail." Banquo and Macbeth all hail. Macbeth, "Wait, you only told me part of what I want to know. Stay and tell me more. I already know I am the Thane of Glamis because I inherited the position when my father Sinil died. But how can you call me the Thane of Cawdor? The Thane of Cawdor is alive and he is rich and powerful man, and for me to be the king is completely impossible. Just as it's impossible for me to be Thane of Cawdor. Tell me where you learned these strange things and why you stop us at this desolate place with this prophetic greeting. Speak, I command you." The witches vanish. Banquo, "The earth has bubbles just like the water, and these creatures must have come from a bubble in the earth. Where did they disappear to?" Macbeth, "Into thin air. Their bodies melted like breath in the wind. I wish they had stayed." Banquo, "Were these things we are talking about really here or are we both on drugs?" Macbeth, "Your children will be kings." Banquo, "You will be the king." Macbeth, "And Thane of Cawdor too. Isn't that what they said?" Banquo, "That's exactly what they said. Who is this?" Ross and Angus enter. Ross, "The king was happy to hear of your success, Macbeth. Whenever he hears the story of your exploits in the fight against the rebels, he becomes so amazed it makes him speechless. He was also shocked to learn that on the same day you fought the rebels, you also fought against the army of Norway, and that you weren't the least bit afraid of death, even as you killed everyone around you. Messenger after messenger delivered news of your bravery to the king with praise for how you defended his country country. Angus, the king sent us to give you his thanks and to bring you to him. Your real reward won't come from us, Ross, and to give you a taste of what's in store for you, he told me to call you the Thane of Cawdor. So hail, Thane of Cawdor, that title belongs to you now. Banquo shocked. Can the devil tell the truth? Macbeth, the Thane of Cawdor is still alive. Why are you putting his clothes on me? Angus, the man who was the Thane of Cawdor is still alive, but he's been sentenced to death and he deserves to die. I don't know whether he fought on Norway's side or if he secretly aided the rebels or if he fought with both of our enemies, but his treason, which has been proven and to which he is confessed, means he is finished. Macbeth to himself, it's just like they said, now I am the Thane of Glamis and the Thane of Cawdor, and the best part of what they predicted is still to come. To Ross and Angus, thank you for the news, speaking so that only Banquo can hear. Aren't you beginning to hope your children will be kings? After all, the witches who said I was Thane of Cawdor promised them nothing less. Banquo, if you trust what they say, you might be on your way to becoming king as well as Thane of Cawdor. But this whole thing is strange. The agents of evil often tell us part of the truth in order to lead us to our destruction. They earn our trust by telling us the truth about little things, but then they betray us when it will damage us the most. To Ross and Angus, gentlemen, I would like to have a word with you, please. Ross and Angus and Banquo moved to one side. Macbeth to himself, so far the witches have told me two things that came true. So it seems like this will culminate in my becoming king. To Ross and Angus, thank you, gentlemen. To himself, this supernatural temptation doesn't seem like it can be a bad thing, but it can be good either. If it's a bad thing, why was I promised a promotion that turned out to be true? Now I am the Thane of Cawdor, just like they said I would be. But if this is a good thing, why do I find myself thinking about murdering King Duncan? A thought so horrifying that it makes my hair stand on end and my heart pound inside my chest. The dangers that actually threaten me here and now frighten me less than the horrible things I am imagining. Even though it's just a fantasy so far, the mere thought of committing murder shakes me up so much that I hardly know who I am anymore. My ability to act is stifled by my thoughts and speculations, and the only things that matter to me are things that don't really exist. Banquo look at Macbeth. He look at Macbeth. He is in a daze. Macbeth to himself, if fate wants me to be king, perhaps fate will just make it happen and I won't have to do anything. Banquo to Ross and Angus, Macbeth is not used to his new titles. They are like new clothes. They don't fit until you break them in over time. Macbeth to himself, one way or another, what's going to happen is going to happen. Banquo, good Macbeth, we are ready when you are. Macbeth, I beg your pardon, I was distracted. Kind gentlemen, I won't forget the trouble you have taken for me whenever I think of this day. Let's go to the king, speaking so that only Banquo can hear. Think about what happened today, and when we have both had time to consider things, let's talk. Banquo, absolutely. Macbeth, until then we have said enough. To Ross and Angus, let's go. My friends, they all exit. A trumpet fanfare sounds. King Duncan, Lennox, Malcolm, Donalbain and their attendants enter. Duncan, has the former Thane of Cawdor been executed yet? Haven't the people in charge of that come back? Malcolm, my king, they haven't come back yet, but I spoke with someone who saw Cawdor die, and he said that Cawdor openly confessed his treasons, begged your highness forgiveness and repented deeply. He never did anything in his whole life that looked as good as the way he died. He died like someone who had practiced how to toss away his most cherished possession as if it were a worthless piece of garbage. Duncan, there is no way to read a man's mind by looking at his face. I trusted Cawdor completely. Macbeth, Banquo, Ross and Angus enter. To Macbeth, my worthiest kinsman, just this moment I was feeling guilty for not having thanked you enough. You have done so much for me so fast that it has been impossible to reward you properly. If you deserved less, then perhaps my payment would have matched your deeds. All I can say is that I owe you more than I can ever repay. Macbeth, the opportunity to serve you is its own reward. Your only duty, your highness, is to accept what we owe you. Our duty to you and your state is like the duty of children to their father or servants to their master. By doing everything we can to protect you, we are only doing what we should. Duncan, you are welcome here. By making you Thane of Cawdor, I have planted the seeds of a great career for you, and I will make sure they grow. To Banquo, noble Banquo, you deserve no less than Macbeth, and everyone should know it. Let me bring you close to me and give you the benefit of my love and goodwill, Banquo. Then if I accomplish anything great, it will be a credit to you. Duncan, my joy is so overwhelming it brings tears to my eyes. My sons, relatives, lords, and all those closest to me, I want you to witness that I will bestow my kingdom on my eldest son, Malcolm. Today I name him the Prince of Cumberland, but Malcolm isn't going to be alone in receiving honors. Titles of nobility will shine like stars on all of you who deserve them. To Macbeth, and now let's go to your castle at Inverness, where I will become even more obliged to you because of your hospitality. Macbeth, I'm not happy unless I can be working for you. I will go ahead and bring my wife the good news that you're coming. With that, I'll be off, Duncan, my worthy Cawdor. Macbeth to himself, Malcolm is now the Prince of Cumberland. To become king myself, I am either going to have to step over him or give up because he is in my way. Stars, hide your light so no one can see the terrible desires within me. Stars, hide your light so no one can see the terrible desires within me. I won't let my eye look at what my hand is doing, but in the end I'm still going to do that thing I would be horrified to see. Macbeth exits. Duncan to Banquo, in the middle of a conversation we haven't heard. You are right, Banquo. Macbeth is every bit as valiant as you say, and I'm satisfied with these praises of him. Let's follow after him. Now that he has gone ahead to prepare our welcome, he's a man without equal. Trumpet, fanfare, they exit. Lady Macbeth enters, reading a letter. Lady Macbeth, the witches met me on the day of my victory in battle, and I have since learned that they have supernatural knowledge. When I tried desperately to question them further, they vanished into thin air. While I stood spellbound, messengers from the king arrived and greeted me as the Thane of Cawdor, which is precisely how the weird sisters had saluted me before calling me the future king. I thought I should tell you this news, my dearest partner in greatness, so that you could rejoice along with me about the greatness that is promised to us. Keep it secret, and farewell. She looks up from the letter. You are the Thane of Glamis and Cawdor, and you are going to be king just like you were promised, but I worry about whether or not you have what it takes to seize the crown. You are too full of the milk of human kindness to strike aggressively at your first opportunity. You want to be powerful and you don't lack ambition, but you don't have the mean streak that these things call for. The things you want to do like a good man. You don't want to cheat, yet you want what doesn't belong to you. There is something you want, but you are afraid to do what you need to do to get it. You want it to be done for you. Hurry home so I can persuade you and talk you out of whatever's keeping you from going after the crown. After all, fate and witchcraft both seem to want you to be king. A servant enters. What news do you bring, servant? The king is coming here tonight. Lady Macbeth, you must be crazy to say that. Isn't Macbeth with the king? And wouldn't Macbeth have told me in advance so I could prepare if the king were really coming? Servant, I'm sorry, but it's the truth. Macbeth is coming. He sent a messenger ahead of him, who arrived here so out of breath that he could barely speak his message. Lady Macbeth, take good care of him. He brings great news. The servant exits. So the messenger is short of breath like a horse raven as he announces Duncan's entrance into my fortress where he will die. Come, you spirits that assist murderous thoughts, make me less like a woman and more like a man, and fill me from head to toe with deadly cruelty. Thicken my blood and clog up my veins so I won't feel remorse, so that human compassion can stop my evil plan or prevent me from accomplishing it. Come to my female breast and turn my mother's milk into poisonous acid. You murdering demons, wherever you hide, invisible and waiting to do evil, come thick night and cover the world in the darkest smoke of hell, so that my sharp knife can't see the wound it cuts open, and so heaven can peep through the darkness and cry, "No, stop." Macbeth enters. Great Thane of Clemens, worthy Thane of Cawdor, you will soon be greater than both those titles once you become king. Your letter has transported me from the present moment when who knows what will happen, and has made me feel like the future is already here. Macbeth, my dearest love, Duncan is coming here tonight. Lady Macbeth, and when is he leaving? Macbeth, he plans to leave tomorrow. Lady Macbeth, that day will never come. Your face betrays strange feelings, my lord, and people will be able to read it like a book. In order to deceive them, you must appear the way they expect you to look. Greet the king with a welcoming expression in your eyes, your hands, and your words. You should look like an innocent flower, but be like the snake that hides underneath the floor. The king is coming, and he's got to be taken care of. Let me handle tonight's preparations, because tonight will change every night and day for the rest of our lives. Macbeth, we will speak about this further. Lady Macbeth, you should project a peaceful mood, because if you look troubled, you will arouse suspicion. Leave all the rest to me. They exit. The stage is lit by torches. Hot boys play. Duncan enters together with Malcolm, Donald Bain, Banquo, Leno, ex Macduff, Ross, Angus and their attendants. Duncan, this castle is in a pleasant place. The air is sweet and appeals to my refined senses. Banquo, the fact that this summer bird near the house martin builds his nests here proves how inviting the breeze are. There isn't a single protrusion in the castle walls where these birds haven't built their hanging nests to sleep and breed. I have noticed that they always like to settle and mate where the air is the nicest. Lady Macbeth enters. Duncan, look, here comes our honored hostess. Sometimes the love my objects bring me is inconvenient, but I still accept it as love. In doing so, I'm teaching you to thank me for the inconvenience I'm causing you, but because it becomes from my love to you. Lady Macbeth, everything we are doing for you, even if it were doubled and then doubled again, is nothing compared to the honors you have brought to our family. We gladly welcome you as our guests with gratitude for both the honors you have given us before and the new honors you have just given us. Duncan, where is Macbeth, the Thane of Cawdor? We followed closely after him. I hoped to arrive here before him, but he rides swiftly, and his great love, which is as sharp as his spur, helped him beat us here. Fair and noble hostess, we are your guests tonight. Lady Macbeth, we are your servants, your highness, and as always our house and everything in it is at your disposal, for after all we keep it in your trust, and we are glad to give you back what's yours. Duncan, give me your hand. Bring me to my host Macbeth. I love him dearly, and I shall continue to favor him. Whenever you are ready, hostess. They all exit. Hot boys play. The stage is lighted by torches. A butler enters, and various servants carry utensils and dishes of food across the stage. Then Macbeth enters. Macbeth, if this business would really be finished when I did the deed, then it would be best to get it over with quickly. If the assassination of the king could work like a net, sweeping up everything and preventing any consequences, then the murder would be the be-all and end-all of the whole affair. And I would gladly put my soul and the afterlife at risk to do it. But for crimes like these, there are still punishments in this world. By committing violent crimes, we only teach other people to commit violence, and the violence of our students will come back to plague us teachers. Justice, being equal to everyone, forces us to drink from the poisoned cup that we serve to others. The king trusts me in two ways. First of all, I am his kinsman and his subject, so I should always try to protect him. Second, I am his host, so I should be closing the door in his murderer's face, not trying to murder him myself. Besides, Duncan has been such a humble leader, so free of corruption, that his virtuous legacy will speak for him when he dies, as if angels were playing trumpets against the injustice of his murder. Pity, like an innocent newborn baby, will ride the wind with winged angels on invisible horses through the air to spread news of the horrible deed to everyone everywhere. People will shed a flood of tears that will drown the wind like a horrible downpour of rain. I can't spur myself to action. The only thing motivating me is ambition, which makes people rush ahead of themselves toward disaster. The only thing motivating me is ambition, which makes people rush ahead of themselves toward disaster. Lady Macbeth enters. What news do you have, Lady Macbeth? He has almost finished dinner. Why did you leave the dining room? Macbeth, has he asked for me? Lady Macbeth, don't you know he has? Macbeth, we can't go on with this plan. The king has just honored me and I have earned the good opinion of all sorts of people. I want to enjoy these honors while the feeling is fresh and not throw them away so soon. Lady Macbeth, were you drunk when you seemed so helpful? Were you drunk when you seemed so hopeful before? Have you gone to sleep and woken up green and pale in fear of this idea? From now on, this is what I'll think of your love. Are you afraid to act the way you desire? Will you take the crowd you want so badly, or will you live as a coward, always saying I can't after you say I want to? You are like the poor cat in the old story. Macbeth, please stop. I dare to do only what is proper for a man to do. He who dares to do more is not a man at all. Lady Macbeth, if you weren't a man, then what kind of animal were you when you first told me you wanted to do this? When you dared to do it, that's what you were, a man. And if you go one step further by doing what you dared to do before, you will be that much more the man. The time and place weren't right before, but you would have gone ahead with the murder anyhow. Now the time and place are just right, but they're almost too good for you. I have suckled a baby, and I know how sweet it is to love the baby at my breast, but even as the baby was smiling up at me, I would have plucked my nipple out of its mouth and smashed its brains out against a wall if I had sworn to do that the same way you have sworn to do this. Macbeth, but if we fail? Lady Macbeth, we fail? If you get your courage up, we can't fail. When Duncan is asleep, the day's hard journey has definitely made him tired. I'll get his two servants so drunk that their memory will go up in smoke through the chimneys of their brains. When they lie asleep like pigs, so drunk they will be dead to the world. What won't you and I be able to do, the unguarded Duncan? And whatever we do, we can lay all the blame on the drunken servants. Macbeth, may you only give birth to male children, because your fearless spirit should create nothing that isn't masculine. Once we have covered the two servants with blood and used their daggers to kill, won't people believe that they were the culprits? Lady Macbeth, who could think it happened any other way? We'll be grieving loudly when we hear that Duncan has died. Macbeth, no, I'm decided. And I will exert every muscle in my body to commit this crime. Go now and pretend to be a friendly hostess. Hide with a false pleasant face what you know in your false evil heart. They exit. Banquo enters with Fleance, who lights the way with a torch. Banquo, how is the night going, boy? Fleance, the moon has set, the clock hasn't struck yet. Banquo, the moon sets at 12, right? Fleance, I think it's later than that, sir. Banquo, here, take my sword. The heavens are being stingy with their light. Take this too. I'm tired and feeling heavy, but I can't sleep. Merciful powers, keep away the nightmares that plague me when I rest. Macbeth enters with a servant who carries a torch. Give me my sword. Who is there? Macbeth, a friend. Banco, you are not asleep yet, sir. The king is in bed. He's been in unusually good mood and has granted many gifts to your household and servants. This diamond is a present from him to your wife for her boundless hospitality. He hands Macbeth a diamond. Macbeth, because we were unprepared for the king's visit, we weren't able to entertain him as well as we would have wanted to. Banco, everything is okay. I had a dream last night about the three witches, at least part of what they said about you was true. Macbeth, I don't think about them now, but when we have an hour to spare, we can talk more about it if you're willing. Banco, whenever you like. Macbeth, if you stick with me when the time comes, there will be something in it for you. Banco, I'll do whatever you say as long as I can do it with a clear conscience. Macbeth, rest easy in the meantime. Banco, thank you, sir. You do the same. Banco and Flames exit. Macbeth to the servant, go and tell your mistress to strike the bell when my drink is ready. Get yourself to bed. The servant exits. Is this a dagger I see in front of me, with its handle pointing toward my hand? To the dagger, come, let me hold you. He grabs at the air in front of him without touching anything. I don't have you, but I can still see you. Fateless apparition, isn't it possible to touch you as well as see you? Or are you nothing more than a dagger created by the mind, a hallucination from my fevered brain? I can still see you, and you look as real as this other dagger that I'm pulling out now. He draws a dagger. You are leading me toward the place I was going already, and I was planning to use a weapon just like you. My eyesight must either be the one sense that's not working, or else it's the only one that's working right. I can still see you, and I see blood splotches on your blade and handle that weren't there before. To himself, there is no dang dagger here. It's the murder I am about to do that's making me think I see one. Now half the world is asleep and being deceived by evil nightmares. Witches are offering sacrifices to their goddess Hecate. Old man murdered, having been roused by the howls of his wolf, walks silently on his destination, moving like Tarquin, as quiet as ghost. Speaking to the ground, hard ground. Don't listen to the direction of my steps. I don't want you to echo back where I am and break the terrible stillness of this moment, a silence that is so appropriate for what I'm about to do. While I stay here talking, Duncan lives. The more I talk, the more my courage cools. The bell rings. I'm going now. The murder is as good as done. The bell is telling me to do it. Don't listen to the bell, Duncan, because it summons you either to heaven or to hell. Macbeth exits. Lady Macbeth enters. Lady Macbeth. The alcohol that got the servants drunk has made me bold. The same liquor that quenched their thirst has fired me up. Listen, quiet. That was the owl that shrieked with a scary good night, like the bells they ring before they execute people. Macbeth must be killing the king right now. The doors to Duncan's chamber are open, and the drunk servants make a mockery of their jobs by snoring instead of protecting the king. I put so many drugs in their drinks that you can't tell if they're alive or dead. Macbeth from offstage. Who is there? What is it? Lady Macbeth. Oh no, I'm afraid the servants woke up. The murder didn't happen. For us to attempt murder and not succeed would ruin us. She hears a noise. Listen to that. I put the servants' daggers where Macbeth would find them. He couldn't have missed them. If Duncan had not reminded me of my father when I saw him sleeping, I would have killed him myself. Macbeth enters carrying bloody daggers. My husband! Macbeth, I have done the deed. Did you hear a noise? Lady Macbeth, I heard the owls scream and the crickets cry. Didn't you say something? Macbeth, when? Lady Macbeth, just now. Macbeth, as I came down? Lady Macbeth, yes. Macbeth, listen. Who is sleeping in the second chamber? Lady Macbeth, Donald Bain. Macbeth, looking at his bloody hands. This is a sorry sight. Lady Macbeth, that's a stupid thing to say.